this is going to get a case this time. Because look at this, it's got a huge divot out here. So it's the same, right? Is it thinner?
It is. I'm going to take the case off.
Oh, like.
Which one's that?
No expandable memory. So that's Samsung.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's the same.
Oh, it's the same operating system, so you'll be used to it. The cooling is just, you know, the liquid air kind of
Yeah.
catch back.
They didn't do the foam leather. Oh, it's stainless steel. I know, but
What's up, y'all?
Hello.
So it's a very interesting time. Hello.
Hi. Hola.
So it's a fascinating thing. So obviously we don't have people, and so on one end that's frustrating, and on the other end it makes complete sense. And so one of the things that we want to make sure of is that we're going to recognize the moment and we take advantage of every opportunity. So when we've got new folks, we're going to have the opportunity of telling the story and the repetition. And when we don't, we're going to take advantage of kind of the entrepreneurial training and where we are and kind of what we're working on. And so part of this, what I want to do is talk a bunch about kind of what you're learning, what it is that we're doing, and why this kind of works so well. Why y'all are serious? So, y'all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it is March 1st, March 2nd, right? So we got one more month in the first quarter. And you know, our business is obviously about growth, right? And so when we come to a meeting and we don't have new people, it's very easy to go, okay, what do we do this week, right? But there's some things to kind of know about what's going on and why we are where we are and how are we making sure that we're growing, right? So here, one of the questions I have is, who plans on being in business in July? Hopefully, okay. So, right, and it sounds like this weird conversation. We were sitting talking to folks today, and like, so here's what's happening, right? So I want to make sure that we've got this, right? So we've got David, Bella, Bob and Don, Cindy, Tony and Wendy, Oscar, that are all in the, is someone else that's in the process of studying and taking their 6 and 63, right? And so if you think about it, right, between this group, there's this group and then Wade and Elvira. Like, that's our team, right? Mike's in the process of taking his life license, right? Anna's in the process of taking her life license. So everybody except Wade and Elvira and Robin, right, are in the process of taking an exam as a #1 priority, right? I would say for this group of people, the #1 priority is to get their securities licenses done. Now, for a variety of reasons. One, we've started this process and we want to, and basically all of these people we would consider in training camp. So they're doing what it is they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be focusing on their securities licenses and their skills. Now, what's going to happen 6 months from now is we're going to have another group, hopefully 2 to 3 times this size, going through exactly what's going on right now. right? So let's say Robert and I have 4 new directs. Bob and Don have 2. Ours got 2. Wade and Kristen have 2. Sue's got 3. David's got 6. Bella, right? So we all have this group that's here. How much production and growth do we think this group of people is going to do for that 3-month period of time? Roughly 0. Why? Because their priority is getting their securities license and growing their skills. How many people do we think that group of people is going to be consistently bringing to their meetings from week to week? Roughly. A lot? No, because they're not working their market. What they're doing is they're getting their securities license, they're learning the lineup, they're learning the access gap, they're learning their skills. Does this make sense? So, and then 4 to 6 months later, we're going to have another group that's hopefully 2 to 3 times larger that's doing the same thing. How much production is coming from that group, essentially? 0. But this group has the ability to be helping the people that are getting licensed and doing their top 10s, working their quarter-to-quarter market, going through. So when this group's here, we have a significant opportunity for our AAA'z Night attendance to be growing and for our business to be done, because this group of people has their securities license, has their locked-in market, has their quarter-to-quarter basis, and is getting people licensed, i.e. this group, dealing with their top 10 before they go in here. So this is where production comes from. Does that make sense? And then when we get this group through, we've got this group and this group. Why this group's getting secure? So are we worried about the lack of production and attendance that's happening in this group when we've got these 2 groups crushing the momentum? No. Does that make sense? So the dilemma is, right now, this group is this group. Right? That's just the reality. This isn't a rationalization of, oh, here, let's make ourselves feel better. This is actually understanding from a business standpoint, we're actually doing what we said we wanted to do. Now, some people might question why we said we wanted to do that, but how many of us think that it's going to make a whole lot more sense here when we've got 10, 12, 15, 18, 25 people taking and passing the securities and learning lineup and going through that process, because then when they come out of it, there's an opportunity for that explosion. And these people aren't going, when this group of people passes their securities, are they ever quitting? No, we're building their assets, they're growing, they got passive income. When we build this group, are they ever, right? Mike absolutely knows he's taking and passing the securities because Bella's already doing it, doesn't even have her life completely locked in, and it's going through, so it's a nothing thing, it's just what we do. Does that make sense? So part 1, now, listen. I have this conversation for a variety of reasons. One, look guys, 2016 is about putting this stuff in place. Your people are never going to experience this. Like, this is just us. We've had the pleasure, for those of us that have been here for a while, we've had the privilege and pleasure of building every freaking step. Now, Bella, Mike, you didn't have to sit here and figure out the lineup. You didn't have to come here and figure out the access. Like, we just had all of that stuff. Some of the folks that have been here for longer have gone through, many iterations of it. We're constructing this culture. Now, the dilemma and the reality is we're not stopping our meetings. We've got to continue to grow because people are starting to move. There's folks that are coming. There are a handful of folks that are supposed to come tonight. They're not. And whether we've got 1 new person in this room or 20 new people in this room or no new people in this room, we have things to learn and understanding of what's going on, because vision is an incredibly important part. Does that make sense? So I'm begging us to not lose focus on what's going on and to recognize the moment, and this group of people to realize the level of seriousness that we're in when it comes to taking, studying, and passing that exam. The opportunity to completely shift the reality up, right? To realize that from a leadership standpoint, there are 2 things that we're doing, right? We want to get our securities license and to grow our skills. Well, the securities license is in place, and the skill is the wine coffee. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but this is about the emotional connection part, right? Because y'all with me? Is this making sense? Right? Because, look, all I can do is help you see where we are and that it's actually working. This group of people is most, I would say all of them are emotionally connected. A significant number of them are emotionally committed to taking and passing this exam. Look, that's a tremendous improvement's the word. That's a tremendous step from where we were 4 months ago. 4 months ago, the securities license was a wish. It was, we're going to turn it in, and yeah, we're going to get it. It was, people were like, yeah, and we talked about it, people were like, yeah, we're going to get it, yeah, we're going to get it, yeah, we're going to get it. Now we've got people that are getting 70, 80%, they're taking their finals, they're going through, they're running through, they're setting up their U4s, they're absolutely taking this process. And we know that when this gets built, this group of people goes out, we're going to have the next round that does this. And the fun thing is, all of you are learning when you've got 4 or 5 people that go through, right, rookie camp and then training camp, you're learning the struggles and the steps that they're going to go through, the level. And when we, like, everyone in the room knows that Bob and Don are serious about taking a passing test. That helps, Bella, doesn't it? Knowing that they're like, we're on it, it helps. Right, David? It helps that you know that Bella's studying, getting it. It helps, Tony, that you're doing it. The collective is incredibly valuable through this process. Well, when we've got a whole other group of folks, they're going to feel exactly the same thing. Make sense? Yeah. But I also want to walk through and make sure that you understand that we're clear on how this is going to work. In a very short period of time, brand new people are going to pass their test. And I just want to give one example of how this works. Now, it takes 2 to 3 to 4 weeks from the time someone passes their life exam to the time they get COVID. Right? So I want you to understand what I'm about to explain. We've got on 7 or 8 or 10 different pieces. But right now, if you asked yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you at inputting an F&A? There's a number. How clear are you at the 6-page presentation of what you're trying to get accomplished? There's a number. How clear are you on explaining the axis gap part of that? There's a number. Right? And the reality is, for most of us, these numbers are less than 5. Why? We've spent essentially no time on that. Because we've been locking in lineup, and we've been developing systems, and we've been doing all of this stuff. Well, when this group of people takes and passes this test, and we start developing these skills, and they start understanding, we actually have a phenomenal opportunity for a shift. Because the time and energy that Bob and Don are spending right now on taking and studying the test, once they pass those exams, that, first of all, they've locked in that advance. They don't ever have to do that again. But they're used to the time and energy to be able to do that. Right? Right? The time that, Bella, you're putting in studying for your securities, when the securities is done, you have that time as an asset. David, when you get home and you're dialing in and you're studying your securities, you have that asset. Well, what happens when we take that energy and instead we go, okay, here, David, what we're going to do is we're going to, and I just picked up this right here, but what we're going to do is we're going to have you run the how to fill out an F&A and how to input it into POL as a class. What's up, y'all? Good to see you. So you're welcome to sit in here, Isaac Robinson. I don't know what her schedule is, but you're also welcome to talk to her and kind of see what things are. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what happens is, so just want you to understand kind of this process. So now, David, you've got your securities licenses done, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Is we're going to master the POL and the F&A. All right? So you've got it down. We put a 2 to 3 week training, 2 hours a day, kind of where this goes. Y'all with me? And now all of a sudden, Isaac passes his life exam. He takes his test on a Friday, and he shows up to Saturday morning. Ultimately, he's entering rookie camp, which means what is he ultimately going to do? He's going to go see what? His top 10. But how long does it take to get your list, your top 10 list? About 10 minutes. But it takes 3 to 4 weeks. What's up, Mr. Kimbrough? It takes 3 to 4 weeks for someone to get appointed. Well, right now they're coming in and they're learning the lineup and they're learning this and they're learning this and they're learning this and they're learning this. They're learning all of this other stuff because we're still, right, we're intermixing everything that's going on because we're trying to get this crew dialed in. Go with me? But what happens when Isaac walks into the next Saturday along with 6 other people? Along with 6 other people that passed their test that week. And David takes them over into the locker room and says, okay, we're going to spend the next hour and a half this week, next week, and the following week, and we're going to work on, here's how the F&A works. Here's how primary outcome line works. Here's how you put it in. Here's this, grab it. And then during the week, I'm going to email you 2 examples of clients that you're going to do, and your job is to practice these F&As and bring them in, and we're going to review them so that over the next 3 weeks, before they can make a sale, before they have to worry about anything, they're getting comfortable. Why? Because how excited are you when you pass your test? Right? You're like, man, so your enthusiasm and curiosity is high. Y'all with me? By the time somebody is actually coded, we could get them to a 7 on how to pick up an F&A and how to input their F&As in the computer. Does that make sense? Now all of a sudden, they go on their top 10. They go with me on their top 10. They go with David on their top 10. They go with Wade. They go with anybody on their top 10. And let's say they go on 6 appointments and they get 5 F&As. Are they scared of the computer? No. So now they're not practicing random ones. Guess what they're doing? They're inputting the F&As on their own. By the time they've done their own 5 or 6 or 7 F&As, how good do you think they could be? You think they could go from a 7 theoretically to an 8 or a 9? Now someone's coded for 2 to 3 weeks, and they've got this part dialed in. Now the fun thing is, how many of you had to teach your 3 people how to do that, or your 6 people, or your 11 people that took their test? How much time did you have to do? None. David did. Your job was to get them to the office. Now guess what? Wendy and Robin created Dawn. They got a good licensing class. So the licensing class is there. So they see the value of the licensing class. And they've already built that in. So now they show up and they pass their test. Now it's not that hard to transition into the F&A. Does that make sense? So now they're like, okay, we've got this done. We understand it. Now after they go into training camp. And we're like, okay, so we've got the lineup. So now all of a sudden we start working on all the people who finish their training camp. And let's say that, that Tony and Wendy, or Tony's running the lineup down in the balcony. So all of a sudden we've got these people that they're done with their top 10. Now it's time to learn. They've registered, they've done their U4, they've all met with Anna, right? So got their U4 dialed in, they're running through the securities class. Robin's developed a game plan for that. And now they spend the next 2 months, right, breaking down each piece. Someone's licensed with us for 3 months. They've got their securities licenses in place because we've created this cumulative structure. And they're dialing in the systems that they need because they don't have to figure it out, but they're learning the things that they need to know now for where they are. Does this make sense? See, guys, everything we said we're created. Well, Brett, there's no new people in the room. I know. We actually created that. I mean, that's where we're at. Because we don't have another list of people that are actively developing and working their markets, that have been running their farm system, that know what a wine copy is, that know what the conversations are, that know how to emotionally connect it, that have already done their baseline of where the emotions are so they can go back to them, that are already in place where they're getting recommendations. They're already being fit. We don't have a bunch of people that are doing it. We've got 1. This month, I've got 3 recommendations so far this month. It's starting to work. Like for me, it's working. I've got folks, I got people on my scout team that are calling. I got an email today. Hey, want you to talk to someone. I got an email yesterday. Someone's looking at the business. I got a scout team that's starting. Now it's a slow drip because we've just been cultivating, developing this, but the pieces are 1000% in place. And I say this because it's not about you or me going forward. Right now, I've got to teach us all this. And right now, the bulk of our team is Robin's running the securities license, and that's where the bulk of our time and energy is. I'm begging the people that are taking their securities to take this thing incredibly seriously. I'm begging you, look at your calendar, put it on, schedule it, put a plan together. Because when that plan's done, you're going to want to fill it with the next conversation, right, to be able to get this done. But the next round of folks that do this, right, when Isaac learns the F&A, it's not going to be stressful. You understand? He's going to walk out of 3 Saturdays and he's going to be like, he's going to know how to set the assumptions. He's going to know the printing order. He's going to know how to do this. He's going to know how to do the, what the different percentages are. So he's going to understand, because it only takes about 6 hours, 10 hours. Well, if he goes through 4.5 hours with David and 4.5 hours on his own, and then he gets his own 4, 5, 6, 7 F&As, and he does them on his own, and the upline trains him, and he shows back up when we go through it. By the time he's done his top 10, how good do you think anybody's going to be at knowing how to run an F&A? So they're sitting across the kitchen table. They're not scared of it. It's not overwhelming. It's not this big, arduous process. It's, oh, here are the things we need because we've done it hands-on. Does that make sense? And then when it's time to go through the lineup, guys, I want you really to see this. So now, so just think about the impact of this. Now they've sat with David or whoever, but they've gone through their F&A training, and we've got the training. Y'all with me? Now they're done with that. Now it's time to pivot to the lineup. Guess what they've learned? They've gone through the licensing class trainings. Y'all with me? So they came to a Saturday, they were followed up on a Tuesday, or followed up on a Thursday, they were given homework assignments on what to do, and they've gotten the rewards, and so they know what happens when they come back on Saturday, so we built that protocol. Then they transitioned to the F&A, and Camacho, we've got the support system that they've done that for 3 weeks. When we transition to the lineup, and we say, okay, here's what we want to do, here's what we want to learn, here's the process, here's your Saturday, hour-and-a-half Saturday training on this, here's the Tuesday to Thursday follow-up, so you come back on Saturday, you got this down. How much resistance are someone going to have at learning the lineup when they've already run 2 modules of structure that it's all based on the same construct? There's just a new set of information. Is that going to be an overwhelming thing for them to learn? No. So now they've got the lineup down, so they know what it is. And now we start going, okay, now let's break down the product. So now all of a sudden, Derek's running, right? You know, our life insurance and our securities. And so they show up and we spend 3 weeks on, here's 3 different kinds of life insurances. Here's how you meet up a policy. Here's how this works. Now, is that it's just the next piece. See, we've got, I was talking to Wade, like we got a big office. There's a reason we've said we have this office. This office was built for national expansion. This was built for a place on purpose to say, we want the size and the space so that we can make sure that we could have a meeting going on here. We could have a new person's meeting in my office. We could have a meeting over there. We could have a meeting in the conference room. We could have a meeting down there. There's 4, 5, 6 different meetings that are going on. We'll set up cameras everywhere. We'll have this in place and people have the opportunity to create that environment. That is our #1 priority for folks to be able to do that, to be able to leverage our growth. Does this make sense? Because through that, the system is in place. Well, when we look at this, it's easy to look at this piece of paper and to look at our meeting attendance and be like, here's another week without. No, we're exactly where we need to be. We'd all like to be further, but it's not true on everything. Right? We'd all like to be thinner or taller or have more money or have this or have that. Like it just is. Right? That's never our measurement. But when we can sit back and go, this was created on purpose, Tony, you're going to pass your securities. Bob, Don, you're going to pass your securities. David, you're going to pass your securities. Right? Belly, you're going to pass your securities. Right? Well, what that's going to do is you're going to be like, well, if they pass, then all of a sudden you go in here, you're like, I'm going to pass. When you're like, I'm going to pass. Mike, you're like, I'm going to pass. Now, all of a sudden, if they're in line, then Isaac's like, man, I'm going to pass. And as we demystify this and we run through the process and we get this, all of a sudden, more and more people pass, more and more people believe, more and more people get assets, more and more. Right now, all of a sudden, we start celebrating someone tripped over 200 grand or 30 grand or this or that, and they got a check for, and we start celebrating that. Now, all of a sudden, the brand. So think about this group of people. When we've gone through each of these scenarios, and these people are getting ready to take their securities, and this group has passive income, this group has $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month in passive income, right? People are running through. This group of people's already the F&A experts. They've already got that dialed in. They're working on the lineup, and we pivot over to here. Like there's a legitimate business. so that we never have to stress about these people doing things outside of growing and learning. If they're in training camp, they're in training camp. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to trip on an appointment. It doesn't mean we're not going to help somebody. But it's not my priority isn't for Camacho to be writing 9 sales. That's not where we are. Do I think he can do 1 or 2? Yeah, right? We've got to be able to go and clean up the mess and be able to get the things. But the number one priority we talk about is let's get, what are we doing? We're getting your securities license and we're getting good at these wine copies. Why? Because one, we have to start our relationships and we've got to develop the skills. Y'all with me? So the important part about this is most of us, we're right now learning from the side. But our no folks are going to be learning from the top now. One step, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And what's going on right now is absolutely proving and validating what it is we're creating. The lack of growth in tangible numbers is actually validating what we're creating. Now, let's not put that on a shirt. But the conversations we're having with Tony and Wendy are about skills. The conversations we're having about Don are about the skills. The conversations we're having with Wade are about the skills. The conversations are about the assets that are being created, not the production that's being done. Because the production is an inevitable byproduct. Does that make sense? So, we got the meeting next Wednesday night. We should have people here, right? And if we don't, we don't. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep doing. But all y'all that taking your securities, move the needle in the next week, right? We're going to we're working our butts off to make sure that we make this a great culture, great environment. This isn't about stress. This isn't about feeling bad. It's about understanding you've got the tools, the resources, and the support. You can learn this stuff because we're going to get the 6, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, we're going to take the 63, and 2 or 3 later, we're going to take the 65. 2 or 3 weeks later, we're going to take the 26. Might as well, you're in the process, right? When your head's in that space, you're in that space. And can you imagine when we've got 35 people in that process? We're on a Wednesday night. Look, let's just kind of go with me just a little bit. Will this group of people be in AAA'z Night on Wednesday night? 4 months from now, 6 months from now when we're doing this? No. This group of people will be in a securities training class. If we had 50, think about this for a second right now. If we had 56 people here right now, we had a group of leaders right now, and Camacho with what you're working on, Bella with what you're working on, Bob, Don and Bob, what you're working on, Tony, what you're working on right now, in all reality, you in that office with Robin right now, doing a study, doing an exam, getting prepared for your securities license, would be a better use of time if we have the culture of leaders because you don't, right now we need you here because we have to get the understanding of the culture, so we've got to do 2 things. But when we've already got the culture in place, now you get to go learn it, you get to go develop it, you get to leverage the support systems in place, the meetings still happen and they're growing. Imagine on an AAA'z night, right, we got 85 people in here and there's 38 people down there that studying for their securities, practicing, going through the process, knocking out the 6, and the meeting's over. How fun is that group when we go, look, we got a game plan and a protocol to move people all the way through this process. Right? The ability to celebrate all the people that have assets waiting for them once they pass their test. All right, Bob and Don have $150,000, $200,000 waiting for them. The moment they pass the test, we do a couple forms, boom, all of a sudden there's $50, $60, $70 a month. That's $1,000 a year almost of passive income just waiting for them, or a year just waiting for them. Now imagine when we got 8, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, 30, 50, because when people go do their top 10s, what do we find? We find assets. So we are exactly where we want to be. Dead on. This group, let's study, let's get that right, and then help us, if you will, because when that's done, if we take this time, the last piece on this story. So David's running the POL, right? just kind of go through. You understand that when David and Anna recruit Bob and Dawn, right? So here's a couple in there. They're not quite 30 anymore, right? Right? Different backgrounds, different education. And here's David and Anna. Right? But all you guys understand that when Bob and Don see the fact that Camacho's running this whole thing, if he's on the team, the level of credibility, we've got 5, 6, 8, 10 spots where people are going to be speaking and coaching and developing and training. The level of credibility, and all you got to do is be responsible for one, and your whole team gets to leverage all of those principles. You don't have to be responsible for teaching everyone everything. What if they don't like you? How many of you know you're going to have people on your team that don't like you? You know how I know that? Some of you don't like me. Right? Most of us like each other. Most of us get along. But you know, look, if you haven't been mad at me yet, there's going to be a day that you are. Right? That's just the reality, right? I love my kids, but they don't like me all the time. Right? If I'm worried about my kids liking me all the time, I'm not the father I need to be. Right? It's the same thing as a coach, the same thing. So if everything's dependent on me giving you this information, and you happen to be in the moment where you're not receiving it, that's a problem. But when we have the culture and the support system in place, it's not dependent on anyone else. We get around. This is coming. And we all see that this is going to be a healthy and positive experience. It's in place. We started with the life licensing because it's the place to start, but it's not the place to end. So, but a little bit of patience and a little bit of urgency. A little bit of patience, a little bit of urgency. We can put this crap together fast. Be quick, but don't hurt. Okay. Now, the second part to this is these wine cards. Okay. On Saturday, one of the questions that we asked, the premise of this whole thing, and this is really what I'm talking about, is this first question. What have you learned about why you're doing the business while having these conversations? Listen, we're all learning this stuff. You know what happens when you learn something new? You're not very good at it all the time. There's a tremendous amount of room for discovery. The goal of what we're doing is the ability to introduce our skill level to the people in our lives. To tell them why we're doing what we're doing, and ultimately to ask for help in advance. Well, if I'm going to ask you for help, you kind of have to believe in what I'm doing for you to take time, right? You also have to care about me and what I'm doing. If you don't care about me and or what I'm doing, are you going to be overly helpful? Okay, this is an emotional call. What's happened for the last 6 years, because we've been breaking down and training and teaching and all this other stuff, this turned into an incredibly cerebral business. The lineup is a cerebral. It's an organized, rationalized structure. The getting wide and your scouting report. These are all very rational tools that are incredibly valuable. The financial needs analysis and the access gap. These are all structures that are incredibly valuable. But all they are support systems that are designed to fall into the background. They don't mean shit if someone doesn't care about what you're talking about. They're incredibly valuable once somebody cares about what you're talking about, because then you don't sound like a raving lunatic. They're built for speed, because if you have a language and I have a language and they're the same language, I can translate what I'm saying very, very quickly. So they all are incredibly valuable once we've created this. The challenge is, most of us are figuring this out. We're trying to figure out what to say and how to say, and we're trying to figure out why we're doing this and how to say this, and it's getting all over the place. This is a very important skill. It's probably one of the most important skills we can teach right now and we can run. And the reason is, collectively, we aren't very good at it. Now, when this group of people is learning this skill, how challenging do you think it's going to be for this group of people when they're in training camp to learn this skill? On a scale of 1 to 10. 4. Anyone else? 6 and 7. So we got a 0, we got a 4, we got a 6 and 7. Right now, we're at about a 9 on the level of skill and pain in the ass this is, on how hard this is. Why? Backwards. No, you read the right. Like how difficult? Yeah, how difficult it is? Right now, look, I'm having the darndest time getting you guys to figure out exactly what it is I'm talking about. I don't have good language. You're not able to understand the words that we're saying. You're coming in with a preconceived notion, thinking it's one thing and it's actually something else. This is challenging. It's challenging for you. It's challenging for me. It's challenging for us. This is not easy. Even when I'm explaining it, a lot of people are still going cerebral. Even when we're explaining the emotions, they're trying to explain the emotions logically. I'm not being critical. Why? Because we spent the last 6 years explaining the mind, the brain, and now we're trying to use our mind. 2 different structures. Does this make sense? But we're going to get this. When are you better today than you were yesterday at this? Right? 6 months from now, you're going to be a whole lot better. Yeah? You're clearer now than you've ever been on what we're talking about, right? Right? That's incredibly valuable. Well, guess what? If I had Wendy come up here, and we will, not tonight, but we'll have Wendy, when Wendy talks about what she's learning and what she's experienced, actually, come on up. Come on. Come on. Good? You good? I would like for you, if you're comfortable, to share what you've learned from doing these things. 2 minutes. Basically what we got. About why you're doing it.
So because because with the help of Rob and Brett, I'm learning entrepreneurship skills and help with something that I'm not moving, school done. And so this business is going to help me with skills and how to run a business, how to run it.
It's awesome. What's the second?
Start a family and pretty much have the same mom that I have now, that every day I get to like go home cook to cook dinner. People don't get that. And I just want to do it for the kids. So if I have the freedom to do so with this, so to have a family, so we can have the freedom and what we choose to do.
So, how many think that if you were friends with Wendy and she had those conversations and she was talking about this is what she found, this is what's going on, and those were the parts of the conversations, how many think you'd be emotionally connected with the journey that she's on? Okay. Now, how many of you also think that with a little bit of help and a little bit of work, Wendy can get dramatically better at explaining and articulating exactly what's in her mind to be able to connect with people even to another level? Because that was fantastic. But is there room for improvement and growth on the clarity. Right? That's not a, see, the really important thing is sometimes people are like, oh God, did I screw up? No, it's not about screwing up. That was you did exactly what I would have wanted you to do, because everybody in this room felt exactly what you were talking about. And that's the difference between in your head and in your heart. Go with me? Wendy's going to grow. She's going to get better. She's going to talk more. She's been on a bunch of these. And she's going to keep doing it. She's going to learn what works and what doesn't work and how to connect and where it fits and how Tony fits and what her family's going to look like, where the conversations, the examples, and what's going. And she's going to be able to connect with the people in her lives that are going to watch this grow. Because in that, and every time she tells that story, it becomes more and more real in whose head? In hers. It becomes more and more important. It becomes stronger and stronger. The conviction becomes a real thing. How much effort from a business standpoint do I have to put in once Wendy absolutely understands that learning how to be an entrepreneur here, learning how to cultivate a growing her skills as sports system or cap reserves will deliver on both the opportunity to open up a business the way she wants to and an opportunity to raise the family the way she wants to. How much do I have to be in charge of making sure she stays motivated when those things are real in her head? Not that much, right? Now, how many of you, when you heard Wendy went, oh shit, that was so much better than I might be able to do my own life right now, right? This guy, like, that was good. And it's going to get so much better. You with me? Now, my question was, how difficult do we think this particular group, once we get this group, we move through this, and this group is going to be at being able to do that? When Wendy's a master at it, Tony's a master at it, Bob and Don are masters at it, Derek's a master at it, Wade's a master at it, David's a master at it, Mike and Bella are masters at it. Right? It's just because it's just our everyday conversations of what's going on. When this group of people is working on their wine coffee experience, how much coaching and opportunity, because right now, Robin and I are the ones that are trying to help everybody in this room flip this hurdle. What happens when there's 15 of us can help this next group of people flip that hurdle? How about when there's 30 of us that can help this next group flip this hurdle? How much quicker, how much less resistance when this group of people is recruited by the people that come in and that's all they hear. So it's so normal and safe to be able to share. And when they start talking about it, they're like, God, I want to do the same thing. I want to feel like that. I want to be home with my kids. I want to be able to create that. I want to be able to live with my family. I want to. And so in the middle of a meeting, someone comes up and it's so normal because it's just what we do, that there's people in the room that get to identify and relate to the impact. I want to make sure that I'm there for my family. I want to make sure that the ability to have a safe place for that, we recruit people into that cause, they're going to be so good at it, it's stupid. They'll do it and won't even know that they're doing it. And so not only will this group of people be learning the securities, and it'll be easier because they'll understand that they can pass it because we'll have 50 people that pass it. And so it's, man, if you just do this, you'll pass. So how much easier is it to get someone to buy into something if they know it's going to work? So now there's limited resistance on that. And while they're doing that, they're learning the F&A, they're learning the lineup because they're developing the security. So they're learning the stuff and they don't even know what they're learning. And then when it comes time, they're getting ready to pass their securities and it's time to go do their wine copies and to launch pad their market. They've already got the, here's why I'm doing this, here's why I'm learning how to be an entrepreneur. These are the skills, these are the sports system, this is the capital reserve, because there's 50 people that are already talking about that. And along the line, you understand the level of speed of adoption we're going to have by this growth? Guys, it's here. We're exactly where we needed to be, and it's absolutely working. Right? One of the time, and it always blows my mind that I use Christopher Columbus as one of my reference guys, right? But I do, right? He discovered a country that already has people, but it had already been discovered 100 times. But other than that, but one of the things he did, he was Italian. One of the things he did was he sailed across an ocean that no one thought was possible. And after an incredibly long period of time, everyone wanted to turn back because they figured there's nothing out here. And one of the best lines in history was, if you want to see land, look into my eyes. You will see the land. It's there. I can see it. If you can't see it, that's all right. Look into my eyes. I know it's there. We said this was going to be created. This was created. This is coming, and this will happen. We're exactly where we need to be. Exactly where we need to be. How fast? It's going to come down to the urgency and intensity of this group of people and where we learn. And if it takes us a year to get this dialed in, it takes us a year. If it takes us 3 months, it takes us 3 months. We are now at a place, Mike, where I can't be the facilitator of this change. I can be the shepherd of this change, but I can't be the facilitator. David, my urgency and want can't do it. Bella, my focus and urgency can't do it. My commitment can't do it. I cannot will us to this group. I can will us to here. Now it comes down to us locking arms. Now it comes down to each of us understanding what's happening, what's possible in our future, what's probable in our business. Because how many think this business is going to be a whole lot of fun? Yeah. Help us. This is where we need leadership. This is where we need vision. This is where we need ownership. And I'm sorry. It's not fair. I'm asking you to be more committed than we're going to ask that to be. I'm asking you to be more focused than we're going to ask that to be. One of the things I said is we shouldn't treat part-timers like they're full-timers. We shouldn't treat part-timers like they're owners. We should let part-timers be part-timers. And we absolutely should. Unfortunately, I can't yet. We don't have demands. We don't have expectations. But for us to create this, it's going to take a little bit more urgency for the folks that are here than it's going to take for you. Now, if you're not in a place to do that, cool. We love you. Keep coming. Keep being a part of this. We will find the ones. We get there faster if you like. And what's in it for you? Here's the reality. I mean, you want to be everything. This group has a real advantage over this group. Now, we'll fix it for this group. This group is going to know exactly what this looks like. Exactly what this tastes like. Exactly what this smells like. When you open up an office and we've got the machine of access support behind you, we've got access, right? And it's time to open and you want to grow and you walk in the room and you've got 10 or 12 people in the room, you have the ability to go, we've been here before. We know what this looks like. We've got the tools, we've got the resources, we know how to run it. Full disclosure, this group of people will have to hear from you. You're going to tell them, I remember when. And they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I came in here. But when it's their time to start, they're going to pay the price too. Now, they're going to pay them RVP contracts, it might be a little bit better, but you'll be remembered forever as the ones that help create. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about what we can accomplish in 2016. We're talking about the place and the opportunity. Because when we make this shift from year to year, you're all going to look at me and be like, oh my God, it's happening. We're going to be at a meeting like this. And it might be us. Like this exact group. And you're like, the hell? And this whole group is down there. And we're like, hey, remember when? And that's when we're here. And guess what? That's going to suck just as well because it's going to fall on us again. The growth is going to fall on us because this whole crew is going to be learning this shit like you are right now. And we're going to be like, man, we got to do this thing together by ourselves. It's like, shit, serious, we're doing it again. I'm like, yeah, now you know how I felt when you were in the room, right? But we're going to be here. Here. That's not the good news, that's the real news. But when we're here, and some of you are encompassing nothing you're doing. some of you are differential. There's no one that will be able to do it because they have to stay focused to these 2 points to get to here, and everyone who wants to get to here. And you can't get to here without running like conversations. By the time we're here and here and here, and people want to replicate what we're doing, they're going to want to go there. And the reality is you can't get there. You can't start there. It's painful. Right? When you all walked up and saw no guests, it's painful. Seriously. Not just for you, for all of us. Because we want this to grow. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in what we're constructing. We believe in the system. We believe in it. And so when it's not, sometimes it gets confusing. And I'm trying to let you know, this isn't about confusion. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. And we're going to be here again. All y'all are going to have a security license. We're going to have the modules in place. And we're going to have a group of people studying their securities. And you're going to be like, why don't they do both? Why can't they go on appointment day? And I'm going to be like, calm it. Just like you wanted to, you hadn't talked to someone in 7 years and you sent them a hi and they said hi back and you want to meet them tomorrow, right? This isn't about, rushing a frozen. This isn't about shortcutting. We got our rookie camp, we got our training camp, and we got game day players. But when we get to here, guys, and my goal is if we're here legitimately by December 2015, 16, sorry. I like 15 better. Right? Really have something. And by the end of the year, we're here. And that convention contest starts. You understand the level of confidence and fun? And the great thing is, you're learning how to build business. None of us are surprised. None of us have been promised we're going to make $1 million. But I promise you, when you're an RVP and team that's doing this, it's impossible to not make $2 million. We'll make $1 million? How long? How big? How many more iterations do you want to do? The 25 grand a month changes a lot of people's lives. My job is to get anybody who wants to the 25 grand a month. You got peer ownership in Primerica at that point. You get 25 grand a month, and you get to decide how big, how fast. You want to go open up a restaurant? You want to go open up this? You want to go open up that? You want to create one? Fantastic. We'll support anything you want. 25 grand a month to an RVP allows you to have flexibility and freedom to be at home at night, do the things you want to do, and the system to it. That's what this is built for. Create more $300,000 in this company. Because you don't, in Sandlot Primerica, you have to be a baller to make $300,000. Here, you got to run the system. Different game. Different game. So, when it comes to your running confidence, what skills are you trying to develop? Why are you doing this? Let's get good in that conversation. My prayer is it moves from your head. My prayer is that you get good at connecting with somebody as to why you're doing this. Maybe it's about changing families' lives. Maybe it's about changing your family's life. Maybe it's about being the son you want to be, the daughter you want to be, the wife, the husband. Maybe it's about taking care of your family. Maybe it's about seeing, being able to be the best you've ever been. Maybe it's about, I don't know what it is. It's all different. That's the beauty of what this is. You don't have to be anybody else. But I want you proud of you. I want you to figure out how you're going to utilize this truth of being an entrepreneur. How are you going to leverage right now? How do you leverage the primary opportunity? What does this satisfy for you? How do we deliver on those promises? Because the clearer you get at that, the more in alignment we can be. The more you talk about it, the stronger the convictions will become. The more real it becomes. Remember, we said we're going to run this mind contest because we want everybody to win. Even though there's 3 couples that are going to go with us, everybody wins. Okay, when you get crystal clear your ability to explain this, and you learn the skills, and you learn how to connect and what it is we're actually trying to get accomplished, and not just saying for the sake of saying, but you become a student of what's going on, and you get this skill down, right? We watch Wendy grow and develop and be able to do that, where she's going to be 2 and 3 and 4 months from now, going in on 3 or 4 more conversations, having this, talking to Robin, talking to me, going, what if I say this? What if I say this? Tony, what about this? Discovering more and more, fleshing more and more out of it, figuring out, right, do I talk to this person about the owning the business, the entrepreneur skills? Do I talk to this person about the family? Do I talk to this one about both? Like, the ability to know where those spaces, those are all skills. But you know what happens when you start talking about your important wants and your dreams and your goals? You know what happens when you start talking to that to people who like you? You know what they start thinking about? Theirs. And you know what people start saying? You want to know the greatest recruiters in this company, the greatest recruiters in the world, and I don't care what business, but in this company, is when someone says, I want what you have. I want that. Not necessarily, I want to do that. But I want that. I want a partnership like that. I want a relationship like that. I want to be clear on what I'm trying to get accomplished in my life like that. I want to feel comfortable like that. I want to be able to, I want to wake up in the morning on fire like that. I want that. You want to be a great recruiter? Create a space where the people that you know go, I want that. Because whatever that is can be created, structured, and nourished here. Whatever that is. Because this isn't about insurance and investments. And guess what? If it happens to be about insurance and investments for you, fantastic. We got 70 million families that desperately need it. So even if it happens to be about insurance and investments, you get that here too. But the people you get to recruit don't have to only have that. So, make sense? We are exactly, precisely where we're supposed to be. This group, I should tighten it up a bit. If you're going on wine coffees, talk to me, talk to Robin, get better. After 2 or 3, debrief, ask questions, make notes, get better, get clear, discover. When something comes out of your mouth and it's awesome, tell your partner, tell me, oh my God, something resonated with me. That's how most great things, look, we've all done it. You've all had an idea and then something comes out of your mouth, you're like, where the hell did that come from? That's so much better than I planned. Write it down, repeat it, do it, get good, get clear. A lot of us discover what we want on accident. We say it with conviction and then we're like later going, oh yeah, that's actually what we want. That's okay. The discovery process is part of this adventure. But grow and get better. Let's master the skills, because when we do that, we get to tell this group of people how we did it. And when we get to tell this group of people how we did it, they aren't figuring it out anymore. They aren't thinking about it. They aren't fighting it. They're just learning it. And when you got 15 of them in here and you override them and they're growing, they're going to come out of this group with their entire farm system identified, 10, 20, 30, 50 people in their corner, the ability to get assets that you override, the ability to recruit. This is your business that you get to override and grow. And then we get to double and triple it. This is where we are. So let's blow us out in the morning. Let's make our list. Let's get next Wednesday night taken care of. Let's grow this thing. We got one month left on the wine coffees, right? Debrief. Get good. Call me, text me, email me. Here's what we learned. Here's what's going on. Here's the conversations. Perfect practice makes perfect. Do not subscribe to, if I do it a bunch, I'm going to get better. Not necessarily. If you're not, right, I was talking to Wendy earlier, and I'll finish with this, and just because I think this made a lot of sense. Look, on a bell curve at school, right, you got to try to fail. And most people have to try to get a B+ or better. For the most part, between a 68 and an 83, you got to show up, pay attention. If you're interested, right, there's going to be some mental capacity and interest. But if you just kind of pay attention, you're going to score here. You got to purposefully fail most of the time. And you actually have to set out to get an A. Not everybody. Some people have, right? But for the most of us, if you want to get an A, you actually have to start with the premise of, I want an A in this class. You have to attend, and you got to do the work. If you figure out halfway through you want an A, I think it's a lot harder to get that A if halfway through you decide to get focused. That's where we're at. Let's decide to be about. Let's decide to grow this. Let's decide to increase our skill on purpose, on design. Because when you do it on purpose, we got 3 people on your team who take your 17-year-old son who's going to take his test and be amazing at this. He's smart and he gets it. He just gets what we're doing. You understand that when you can teach him how to find his whys and to be able to articulate that at 18 and 19 years old, he's clearer at 18 or 19 than most 40-year-olds. The skill of being able to be clear as to what you want and the work you need to do to make it a reality at 18 and 19 years old, the gift, having a team of people in your life that are able to say, this is what I'm willing to fight for, this is what I'm willing to do, this is what we want to accomplish. Guys, the value there, but it's a skill. And for some people, it looks natural and easy. And others, it's so scary they can't stay in the room. You and I have a shot. We are exactly where we stand. Now we do. So hopefully this makes sense. This was valuable. We love you guys. We'll see you all Saturday.